Hey, experts listeners. I want to key you into something that we do very special here at Ops Experts Club, and that's a masterclass. We have a free masterclass called Foundations That Scale. And the great thing about this masterclass is it's for operation professionals who are growing businesses. One of the most dangerous things you can do as an operator is grow businesses on a foundations that's not stable. So in this particular masterclass, we take apart all of the inside pieces of your team, your tech, and how they're using time. And we make sure that you're building on a foundation that's stable. So if you want to check out a great masterclass completely for free, go to foundationsthatscale.com. We'll see you there.
Welcome to the Ops Experts Club with Aaron, Terryn, and Savannah. This podcast will take you behind the scenes of some of the finer details of multi-million-dollar companies. These ops experts have dealt with operations for scaling companies and well-established businesses with anywhere from small to large teams. If you've ever been deep into the details of a major company, then you know how much it takes, and these conversations are just for you. Welcome to the Ops Experts Club podcast.
Ops experts, thanks for joining us today. So if you're coming to the show and you're like, what the hell are they talking about today? It's just because Terryn and I get along so good and we have so much fun. If you ever watch Ted Lasso, that's my aspiration. Is I want to be Ted Lasso and Coach Beard, me and Terryn, where we just are pals and we jab back and forth and we have a funny time saying funny stuff. So I appreciate you joining us. Terryn's been with me for a long time. Terryn, really appreciate you. I think we're going on, I think this is year 10, right? We're coming into year 10. Collab team's coming into year 11.
Yeah, we just passed year 10, or 10 years ago. So yeah.
Dude, just 10 years of working just side by side, cheek to cheek. That's what we're
I
doing.
haven't done anything 10 years long in my life other than work with you. That's the only thing I've done 10 years other than be
Volvo.
alive.
How long did you own the Volvo?
6?
Dang it. I beat the Volvo?
Yeah.
Yes, dude. That's what I'm talking about. How long did you work for Roasters?
6?
Yes, dude. I'm like almost double like your longest venture. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Terryn. So today I thought what we could talk about, that's actually a good tee up for what I want to talk about today. So ops experts, thanks for joining us. This is the place you come for thinking through new projects you're in the middle of, or if you're looking for cool tools to help your operations, or if you're thinking through, hey, who's just out in front of me? You know, we get to work with a lot of, $1 million to $10 million companies, some 20 million, some 30 million, some $40 million companies. And so the great thing that we get to bring to this conversation is what are the things we've seen them do really well? What are the things we've seen them not do so well? And then how can we keep you from, stepping into traps? Nobody likes stepping into a trap. It does not feel good stepping into a trap.
Nope. Except for the guy who's about to show you how to get out of a trap.
Dude, that guy could make a lot of money because then you're already in the trap. No, that's good. I like that. So anyway, we would like to keep you out of the trap and we're not even going to sell it. We're just going to give it to you free here on Ops Experts Club. You are welcome. Terryn, today I thought we could talk about how do you know when it's time to roll out something new? A lot of our people that listen are in business models that are working, right? But I think that there's always that new thing. You talked about a lot of times our visionaries will go to some summit, to some conference, some mastermind event and come back with a bunch of new ideas, maybe meet with their business coach, come back with a bunch of new ideas. How do we make the decision on new?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think it's not even when it's a bunch of new ideas because that means it hasn't really been filtered yet. It's what about when they come back with one idea and that's when they're all in.
And I would say, because, we were on a client call today, almost somebody I really have a ton of respect for and love for. But what you and I talked about later on that after that call is just like how many times he's built up and torn down and built up and torn down and built up and torn down, and I think that, so how long do I wait to see if this new thing's going to work? And when do I pivot out of that into a new thing that I'm going to build up? And then how much capital do I put into the new thing? And then how do I know I've spent enough time, energy, effort before I tear down that new thing and go for the next new thing? So I'd love for us just to like have this be an open conversation, some dialogue back and forth about things people we've seen do really well, other people we've seen do not so well, and then help the listeners to really be taking something back to if they're an operator and they need to go back to a visionary, or if they're a visionary listening in and trying to make decisions. I think that when do I make the pivot into something new? And when do I shut down something that I've been doing for a while?
Mm-hmm. Yep. I think some I've seen successful, when you've got that one new idea, usually the entrepreneur, visionary, owner, whoever it is, if they are investing all of their time into it and understand what they have to put into it to make it succeed, I usually see that go a lot more successfully than if it's one new idea that they just expect everybody else to do.
No, that's a good one. So I would say the person who is leading the ship has to be pretty committed to the idea, right? As far as and committed, not like they're committing their team to the idea, but they have their own buy-in of, hey, so I recognize this new thing there's gonna be some expectations out of me, and I'm willing to give you whatever it takes for success to work. And if it doesn't work, that's great, but I'm not gonna just like half bake it and expect some great result.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's good, Tara. No, because I do think you're right. Sometimes visionaries can get really excited about somebody else's idea, but they don't know enough about it. And then they bring it to the team, and the team really doesn't know a lot about it. So then the team deep dives it, comes back with answers, and the visionary's like, yeah, let's do that. But then there's like, no, not much buy-in because they don't know themselves. So I think it's really good. Like visionaries like need to understand what it is they're asking of team. And I would say the right expectations of how long it's going to take, right? How much of a lift it's going to be. Cause sometimes visionaries can be like, so is that done yet? And we're like, wait, what? That was a brand new idea at the beginning of this call. No, we're not done yet. It's going to take some research and some coming back with a project plan and you buying in on how many hours we think that's going to take. And then you being willing to put ad dollars at this new idea or putting some sort of spend at this idea to make sure it's going to work so that you then can count the cost before we get in the middle of it, right? You don't want me just to start building. Like, let's get our arms around this thing before we start to build.
hmm Yeah. So, I mean, you kind of spin it as that's the way where it'll work really well and it won't work really well, depending on if they're behind it or not. What do you think's another good indicator?
So for me, like I don't care how much money you've got. For me, I feel like let's try and do this as inexpensive as possible if we're not sure of the results, right? Like, so I would say, how can we get at this thing? Like a great example would be Pedro Deo, the challenge king, right? Like the guy that really fostered challenges, brought challenges to the market back in 2020 in the middle of the pandemic, really, I feel like helped a lot of young entrepreneurs really get out there because of his model. And the reason why his model I felt like was so successful was you could do it on the cheap. His whole advocate, what he would advocate for is whatever your shtick is. The one that always sticks out to me is there was a lady that was a veterinarian to barnyard animals who had a specialty on like salves for goats. Like now we're talking about holy niche, right? Like we've niched down from veterinarian to barnyard animals to salve for goats. But Peter's whole thing was no, no, no. The more niche down you can get, the better, because then you're calling to your people. It's not just a blanket. We serve everything here. It's like, no, no, no. You having a problem with this with your goats? Awesome. I'm your guy. Right. So she made that her thing. And she was like, hey, come join me for a 3-day challenge, 5-day challenge, 7-day challenge, whatever it is. Come back day after day and get a little bit more insights to this and then make a pitch at the end of those days, whatever it was, but that's a pretty cheap business model because all I need is a social media platform that I go live on that I'm going to talk about all of my friends. And then the people that are drawn to that are going to come to it. They're going to tell the people they know that are also into that to come to it. And then I just need to make a pitch at the end, but I've gotten them addicted to the knowledge I've been giving them the last set of days. And when I make all I really need, the only technology I really need is the ability to go live on video and the ability to drop a buy now button, right? So you don't have to build a bunch of website stuff. You don't have to build the funnels. You have to build all the craziness. It's just drop a PayPal buy it now button or a Stripe buy it now button, and you can be transacting dollars. And as long as you have a way to deliver whatever it is you promised, you can be off to the races. So I would always say, could we do it on the cheap? Could we do it like if we are not sure if this system is going to work, if we're not sure if this new idea is going to work, how can we try it before we dump a bunch of dollars at it? Because I know that Pedro would always advocate for. He sees so many people go out there and get so complex with their builds, and they put all this money in technology and all this money into the team building the technology and all this money just to get the launch to realize it's like it's a stinker, like bomb, bomb, bomb. The thing nobody cares, nobody's interested in it, and you front loaded it with all these dollars and ads you're pushing at it. No, no, no. Start organic, start it simple, see if there's an interest, and you can always make it more complex, but don't start with complex. So I would say, how much does it cost and how complex does it have to be before you can determine if it's going to be a success?
Yeah. I mean, those are great questions. I always think like the easier something is to jump on, the easier an opportunity, a new idea, obviously the easier it is to try out,
Yeah.
I mean, the fail is going to be a lot softer. The win might be softer too, but yeah, so does the fail.
I think something that I think that there's another one I would say is price point, right? Like sometimes I think the price point's too high and it's the limiter, right? So maybe start it a little bit cheaper and maybe you're like, I don't know if it's worth the time for that dollar. So great. You can always increase the price point if people start really taking advantage of it and you want to get more dollars out of whatever your idea is. But if you start too high, that may be an immediate no out of the gates for people. So why not start at a lower price point and grow it over time? Because like you're saying, the fall is softer, right? Like if it's not going to
Hmm.
work, and like at least you got off. We know it's not a money situation because it was $29, right? If people aren't willing to spend $29, then they're probably not willing to keep going deeper than me. But some people come in, it's like a $1,500 product. Well, it's like, well, that people are probably going to need to get to know you a little bit better because you at least take them out to dinner first. You know what I mean? Like, could we start something simpler? You know? And so I think coming at it with the right idea of you can always increase the price, but it's really tricky to have to back down your pricing, right? Like that there's quite a bit of egg on your face because if somebody bought it at the $1,500 mark, they're not going to feel super good about it when you drop it down to $29.99, you know?
Well, yeah. I mean, then you can also do though. Maybe this is off topic, but there's the like, what's it called? The value ladder. There's the next price. It might not even be a thing, but it justifies your low price. You say, oh yeah,
Yep.
people pay $5,000 for a 1 hour call with me. Maybe
Yep.
you've done it. Maybe you've never done it. Maybe that's your own value on your time,
Yep.
but it could justify a lower cost.
So when you're thinking about pricing, I think that that's a really good idea, Taryn. Like, so maybe you're thinking about your pricing. It's find a high water, what you feel like that could be worth or the offer stack should be. You know, you'll see people a lot of times in online offers do that where it's like, you get this and you get this and you get this and you get this, and all those have a dollar amount next to it. And then they line through it and it's like $10,000 value, get it today for $500. You know what I mean? That makes people feel good about all the value you're getting in it. And like you said, Terrence, sometimes that maybe you've never got that for it, but you feel like that's what the value is. I think it's fine to high watermark enables it, to price slash your prices, but you can always grow it. It's really tough to lower it. It's really tough to go backward the other way. So I'd say starting with an easy point of entry, testing the market, seeing if it works. And once you start knocking down sales, then you can always raise your prices. You can always begin to limit the number of sales because there is something to be said for I could either sell this for $30 or I could sell it for $100. But if I sell it for $30, I need three plus sales just to get to one sale if it's $100. You know what I mean? So I do think that there's that economies of scale that you want to challenge. But I would say, like, let's vet the thing first, you know?
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. You can also end up with 3 happy customers that get you really great testimonials so that you can raise the price.
Super good. Yeah. So let's talk about that for a minute. There are different value sources for different seasons of business. Let's say maybe you're already doing really well with like how many sales you're doing, but now what you'd really like to grow is your reach, right? Like you'd like to become known as the challenge guy, right? Like Pedro Deo's doing great with challenges. He wants to be known as the challenge guy. Well, how do I get on as many stages talking about challenges as possible? So maybe you drop your speaker fee to be able to get on as many stages as possible because you're trying now to get reach rather than trying to just make sales, right? So there's different seasons of business. This is a little bit of a pivot and a change, but like somebody asked me today on a call, Aaron, so how much money do you hold in reserves in your companies when it comes to a safety net? 6 months, 12 months? And I told him, well, I really feel like it depends on the business and it depends on the season. So like our coffee drive through down in Belize, right? I know it's a brick and mortar, very different from the online space, but like we're first to market. We're the first drive through coffee in the country of Belize. My biggest enemy is copycats. People are going to sprout, oh, they're doing really good with that. I'm going to start something like that. So for me, I put in all capital at opening new locations. I'm not taking a dime out of Coffee de los Mayas because I feel like, no, all capital stays in the building so we can grow it to a place where we're like, oh, okay, now we've got these 5 locations locked down. Awesome. I'm going to pedal back now and use the dollars to invest internally, or I'll start taking member draws then. But I think so. I think there are different times in business where you're like, hey, am I going to go all in on this idea here? Well, I would say, is it proven for us? Like, so let's continue with that example. For me, I knew coffee was proven. I knew people are killing it here in the States. I knew that there was a new expression opportunity down in Belize. I knew I was able to get, beans at a cheaper cost. I knew labor was going to be less. Let's go try it. And so we tried it at the smallest expression possible. I didn't just go drop, like hundreds of thousands of dollars down there. Let's try a small expression, see if it works. Oh, great. It's kicking ass. Awesome. Then let's open up another
Mhm.
one this time invest a little bit more into it. But that way I already have one business that's working that's going to fund the second location. And the second location paid for half the building of the second one, right? And then by the time we got to location number 3 that we just opened in June, location 1 and location 2 paid for all of location 3 to be built, which I felt like, okay, so now I'm allowing it to build over time. I could have just slammed down there, found investors, gone down there, opened up 3 overnight. But I think that there's a lot of risk in that. So I would say prove it. Ask yourself what season you're in. Do you have capital you can put at this next idea? I would still prove it first and then invest where you know it's going to be like a pretty guaranteed win. I'm okay with gambling, but I like gambling when I know the odds. I don't like gambling when it's like, this is just a blind gamble that I think is a good idea. I would say, no, 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 pump the brakes, test it, market test it, make sure that you're getting some traction, then pour gas on it as you see success. You hear a lot of people talk about self-liquidating ads in our space, in the online space. And I think it's a real smart way to do it. Like start running ads, but make sure that the sales you're making off those ads at least pay for the ads for now. And then we can go on from there. Like don't expect that to pay for salaries, don't expect that to pay for labor, but at least self-liquidate for the ads themselves. And then continue to grow it. And then what's the ROAS? What's your return on your ad spend? And then really get that to 2x and 3x. And then those dollars are just making money for you just by having ads out there. Cause I know I can 2x or 3x my ad dollars. That makes sense. But don't just like, for me, I felt like I learned that the hard way, Terryn, when, I did a webinar launch or beginning of last year, put out the webinar, I was sure it was going to work, all these things, but then I put a ton of money at it and the sales just didn't, it barely broke even, just a little bit less than what I spent in ads. And I'm like, do I want to keep going deep? Is that the season Collab is in right now to get more of those by spending more on a non-guarantee of the market saying yes? And I think that there are those times where I would say, so we're trying to get back to when do you say yes? And when do you have to start saying no to new things? And I would say, test it, give it a decent amount of time, but don't lose your shirt on it. Like give it a chance, let the market tell you what they want, start soft, right? Start with soft fall, like you were saying, build it up over time, but then be humble and honest enough to say, hey, this just isn't working. We need to make a pivot. And when you make your next pivot, I would say, do it. I would always say, Terryn, I don't know what you think about this, but I would say do it organically first. Start it with your lists, start it with your emails, start it with your social followings, start it with your text lists, push it out there, try it out, see if they like it. If they don't, try something new.
Yep. Yep. Sometimes though, you might have to make a business decision to lose your shirt over, right? Like we
Yeah.
saw with COVID.
Yeah. Tell me about that. Tell me about what you think. Like what would be an example?
Well, I would say if you know you're about to sink, you might want to lose your shirt.
That's true. Cause you're going to go swimming. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
So you don't want to get your clothes all wet. I get that. But I will say that is true. Like I know John Acuff is a great example. So John Acuff is a client of ours, been a client of ours the last 4 years. John Acuff came into COVID where his whole income stream was speaking on stages and selling books, right? Well, overnight, all of his speaking on stages went, the way of the dinosaur. And like he had no gigs because nobody was doing large scale events anymore. So then that's when he and Pedro became pretty good friends. And John started doing online, like speaking venues. Like a challenge is just a new venue for you to be able to speak, especially at a time when everything's buttoned down. So he did take a big gamble. He did take a big risk, but what were his choices? Like he was already losing his shirt on his traditional way. He had to go this new way. But now I've seen John really pivot back. So he is doing some online stuff. He's got a challenge coming up around, I think it's actually middle of next month for the new year, right? He's the goals guy, right? So he's going to want to set you up for succeeding your goals, but he isn't exclusively doing online stuff anymore. He's doing his speaking gigs and he's doing his online presence, and he's got good goal expectations for both. So I think probably coming up with good goal expectations and then asking yourself, is it hitting the goals? But I do think there come those times where there's been a shift in the industry, a big upset, and you do need to take a gamble. You do need to probably lose your shirt.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, that was a decision where he had to, make a change based on necessity, not off of a new idea with a coach. And it was either, fire his team and just ride it out, or make a switch, try something new, go all in and keep things going.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are scared to fail because nobody wants to look like a fool. But I remember so the first business I started back when I was 28, I bought into a skateboard, snowboard shop chain, and I divorced it from the chain and I ran my own skateboard, snowboard shop. And I felt like I knew all the secrets. I knew how it all worked. I had run this chain for this family. I broke it off because it was a long way away from the main central hub. It was up here in Oregon. They were down in California. Broke it off, did my own thing, ran it for a few years. And then we came into the housing crisis. And then we came in like of 2006. And then we came into the retail crisis of 2008. And it was like, I just couldn't make the thing work anymore. And I remember my accountant pulling me aside and saying, hey, it's time to stop gambling here. Like I was pulling money out of the equity in my house just to keep the thing afloat. And she, was like an older lady and kind of motherly in some ways. And she's like, hey, you're taking too many risks. You just need to close this thing down. And I remember it was such a heartbreak to close this thing down, but I'm so glad I did, man. Because I could have upside down my whole house. I could have lost things that were super important to me. And for what? My pride, my ego, because I didn't want to admit that I had failed at something. But I felt like that failure was some of the best lessons I ever learned, because it really helps me sympathize with people who are in the middle of things that are failing, and to be able to say to them, hey, like, can I tell you a little story? And like, for me, it led to the best things ever. It led to Collab Team, which is a much more profitable business than a skateboard snowboard shop could have ever been, And so I think be aware that sometimes the pivot's going to be, hey, this just isn't working. And it's not smart for me to continue to bet against these kinds of odds. And I need to maybe scale back a little bit, even if it's going to be a little bit humbling, and I need to be able to tear something down for the sake of building up something new. I would just say, when you tear it down to build up the next new, like, count the cost before you get into it. Make sure you really are looking at it both eyes open. Try and go at it the cheap first. Pour gasoline on the fire that's starting to burn the brightest, and then make bigger steps as you continue to grow the business forward.
Beautifully said. What a sad thing to end on.
Man, it's not a sad, because I actually think failure is the best gift that you can give anybody, because they learn from it. As long as you learn from it. If you're just like, I'm just going to drink my sorrows away, I'm just going to quit, then that's when it's sad. But I think, honestly, I love listening to the warrior's tale of, man, somebody that's just got their ass handed to them, but they rose from, like the phoenix rose from the ashes, and they've gone on to do powerful things. I'm like, dude, that's a story I want to hear over and over. So if you're in that season, if you feel like things are failing, be honest with yourself and realize this isn't the end of the story. Like, we're going to go someplace else from here. Make good choices on the next pivot. Terryn, I'm going to use the word pivot all the time, because I know it's your favorite word.
Oh,
Um,
so just know that if you're in a season of failure, Aaron's proud of you.
I am proud of you, because I can't wait to
If
see us
you're
start
almost there, just hurry up and fail. So Aaron will be proud of you.
See, I would be even prouder. Terryn, that's a great note to end on. Awesome. Ops experts, thanks for tuning in today. I hope you enjoyed our fun tale and our warrior's journey.
Can't see my fingers, but they're waving.
Awesome. We'll see you guys next year on Ops Experts Club.
Thank you for tuning in to the Ops Experts Club podcast. New episodes available every week on Spotify, iTunes, and everywhere you listen to podcasts. If you're curious about how some of the biggest names in entrepreneurship have scaled their businesses to the next level, check out some of our best content on this topic by going to foundationsthatscale.com. You can find the link in our bio and do your part to improve as an ops expert.